Hi everybody! Well, we're on our way to experience Christmas down under in Australia. It'll be a different type of Christmas for many of us because usually Christmas, at least in the northern hemisphere, is kind of cold. It wasn't cold where I grew up at Christmas. I was in Arizona. It's a desert. So I can kind of relate to what Christmas is like in Australia.
That's right. So you'll experience swimsuits, sun cream, and Santa hats like we're wearing right here because it's Christmas time. And what better time to wear such hats than Christmas time, right? There's
not a better time, actually. But I wouldn't wear a Christmas hat when it's not Christmas. You'll look silly.
And it'll be hot, too. Now, of course, we often think of these things during Christmas time. We'll think of Christmas trees and cold weather and snow. Lots of snow, but that's probably what you wouldn't be thinking about if you were down under, would it?
No, they don't get any snow. So you're thinking about enjoying the hot weather at Christmas instead. So if you're from Australia, and maybe some of our listeners are, who knows, you're more likely to imagine Santa surfing onto the beach rather than using a sleigh to bring in his gifts for all the good boys and girls. To be likely to is our shortcut for you. Let's take a closer look.
Shortcut for you.
I hope it's sunny this weekend. I'm going to the beach with my friends.
Actually, I think it's likely to rain.
How can you like the rain? Sunny days are so much more fun.
I didn't say I like the rain. Saying something is likely to happen means there's a good chance that it will happen.
Oh, 所以 be likely to 是很有可能的意思.
Right.
Well, if we can't go to the beach this weekend, I'm likely to be bored.
Well, why don't you come to Sam's party with me? There's likely to be lots of cool people there.
Yeah, I might just do that. Thanks.
Now, if you go surfing, it's a sport where you actually use a long board and you sort of ride the waves from the ocean into the land, and you hopefully land on the beach. Sometimes you crash and fall into the water, but don't worry, your surfboard, and that's that board you're surfing on, will float. And usually surfers will tie their surfboard to their ankle so they don't lose it.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, right? Surfboards can be very expensive. You don't want to lose them and buy a new one.
No.
So you might see someone dressed in a Santa Claus suit surfing into the beach on a surfboard and not on a sleigh. That's what Santa Claus usually rides in, right?
That's right. He usually has that. Now, we're talking about surfing in towards the beach in the bright sunshine. Now, if something's really bright, it's hard to look at. Have you ever looked up at the sun on a sunny day? Don't do it. It hurts your eyes. But it's kind of hard to see, and when you look away, you see all these black spots. It's too bright. Maybe you need some shades. That's kind of the slang word for sunglasses. Do you have some nice shades, Tom?
Yes, I do, but I don't need them right now. But if I do go outside to the beach, I'm going to need my shades, my sunglasses. And again, the reason that people in Australia can do this during the winter is because winter is in the middle of the year, or at least in December, it's in the middle of the summer. So Christmas doesn't change, right? It's the same day, December 25th.
Yeah.
But in Australia, it's still going to be hot down there, so they will celebrate Christmas at this time of year.
Yeah, it's really kind of a weird feeling. Now, remember, they're in the southern hemisphere. That's the lower part of the Earth that's below the equator. And they have opposite seasons from us who live in the northern hemisphere. So when we're experiencing winter, like now, they have summer. So it's just flipped in reverse.
Right, that's the southern hemisphere, and again, as you said, we're in the northern hemisphere. There's also the eastern and western hemispheres, but you don't hear that so much anymore. It's usually the northern and southern hemisphere. Well, down in Australia, Christmas is the time to head outside and soak up the sun.
I love that.
If you soak something, you put it in water for a long time so it gets smooth or soft. Maybe your dishes have got some stains, so you soak them for a while first. But in this case, it just means you soak up some rays from the sun, and you want to get a suntan.
Hopefully you don't soak up too many rays or stay out too long, or you'll get a sunburn, which means your skin turns all red. So you're taking in all that sun. Now here's another difference. Rather than roasting a ham or a turkey in the oven for dinner, they head on outside, or they go outside, and they fire up the barbecue. Now, if you're from Australia, you know what it is to barbecue. Actually, we do a lot of barbecuing here in Taiwan, too. But what's fun about Australia is they have a slang word for barbecue. They just call it Barbie, B-A-R-B-I-E. So they're going to fire up the Barbie, which is kind of fun. The Australians have a lot of slang that I don't even understand. You kind of have to learn how they talk. Now, when you roast something, what does that mean?
Well, for me, it means you cook something in an oven, but it's in a pan that's got liquid in it, right? So you can bake bread in an oven, but a turkey or a ham would be roasted in the oven inside this hot box with liquid or oil in there, and it will be very, very tasty.
So you're not going to roast bread, guys. You're going to roast meat or maybe some vegetables, roast some potatoes even. Ooh, that tastes good. Well, they're more likely to go out and fire up that barbecue and barbecue some really tasty food. I love barbecue.
Yeah, it's great to barbecue. It can be very tasty. Something else you could do would be to splash around in the swimming pool. That's what kids might do. To splash just means to make sounds in the water or to just jump around in the water, and that's the kind of sound you would have, splashing around in the water.
Yeah, a lot of times when little kids are taking a bath in the bathtub, they'll wave their arms up and down and kick, and they'll splash water all over. It will go outside the tub. It's kind of fun for kids. Now the parents are going to be busy cooking up turkey, pork, and seafood for the Christmas feast. Now turkey is a type of meat. A turkey itself is a very large bird. It sort of looks like a chicken, and we typically just eat them around Christmas and holiday time. I don't think turkey's popular in Taiwan because it's a little dry. It's a dry type of meat. Well, you're going to have a Christmas feast, so that's a little different than saying you're going to have Christmas dinner, right?
It's not the same thing as a banquet, B-A-N-Q-U-E-T. You would go to a wedding banquet here in Taiwan if somebody you know is getting married, but a feast is a big dinner that you have during a holiday like Christmas, or we could also say we're going to have our Thanksgiving feast, although we already had that. That was last month. Too bad you missed it. Okay, everybody, we're going to continue our lesson in just a couple of seconds, but right now, here's our Chinese teacher.